Hi guys, so what we're talking about today is least common multiple. So let's break apart what least common multiple means so we can start figuring out what it is. So let's look at the three words least. Least means smallest, fewest, common, something we share, and multiple are numbers when we multiply it out. So my multiples of 5, I would do 5 times 1, 5 times 2, and the answers are my multiples. So we're going to be looking at two or more numbers to find the number that they have in common when I multiply it out. And I want the smallest number that they have in common. So we're going to go through some examples and then we're going to look at a word problem to break apart to figure out what it's asking and how I can figure out if it's a least common multiple problem. So we're going to start with the numbers 5 and 7. So the first thing that we want to do is I want to look at the numbers 5 and I want to get my first 5 multiples. The reason why we pick 5 is it's a small number and I can always go more if I need to, but typically if I do 5, I can get an idea of which number I'm going to need to increase to find a pair. So I'm going to start with 5 and I'm going to look at my multiples. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2, 10. 5 times 3, 15. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm going to stop because I have my first 5 multiples and I want them to be in order from least to greatest, so numerical order. Now I'm going to look down at the 7 and I'm going to do my first 5 multiples of 7. So I always start with 7 times 1 or the number times 1, so 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 5 is 35. So I have my first 5 multiples of both 5 and 7. So now I am going to be looking for the least common multiple. So I'm going to start and I'm trying to see if they have anything in common. 5, is there one on the bottom? No. 10, no. 15, not there. 20, not there. 25, not there. So does that mean that there's no common multiple? Of course not. There's always going to be a common multiple. So what we're going to do is I'm going to find whichever list is smaller. So 5 has the smaller final multiple. So I'm going to continue doing multiple to 5. I'm just going to do 5 more and then I'm going to compare. So I'm going to start 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 9 is 45. 5 times 10 is 50. So now that I have more multiples, I'm going to look and compare again. So do I have any multiples in common? And I do. So I'm going to start here, 35. I have a 35 up top. So my least common multiple of 5 and 7 is 35. A least common multiple. I can always find a common multiple by multiplying these two numbers together. So 5 times 7 is 35. That is always going to be a multiple, but it might not be my smallest multiple that they have in common. So it's not always going to be an answer, but it for the least common multiple, but it is always going to be a common multiple. So we're always going to be able to find a common multiple. So we're going to look at another example. So we're going to look at our second example. So I have 12 and 8. So I'm still finding the LCM or the least common multiple. So I'm going to be looking at the first 5 multiples of both 12 and 8. And I'm going to try to find the one that is the smallest in my list. And remember, I can always find a multiple by doing 12 times 8. And that's 96. But that might not be the smallest or the least common multiple, but it is always going to be a common multiple. So there's always going to be one. So what we're going to do is we are going to go back and I'm going to start with 12 and I'm going to do my first 5 multiples. So 12 times 1 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 3 is 36. 12 times 4 is 48. 12 times 5 is 60. Then I'm going to do my first 5 multiples of 8. So 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. And 8 times 5 is going to be 40. So now that I have my first 5 multiples, I'm going to stop and I'm going to look to see if they have the smallest number that they both have in common. So I'm going to start here. I have a 12. Do I have a 12 on the bottom? No. 24? Yes, I have a 24 in both lists. So for this one, I did not have to extend my list out. I just had 24 in both lists. It is the smallest number that they both share. So my least common multiple of 12 and 8 is going to be 24. So we know we can make our list and we're going to do our multiples. If you need to use your calculator, you can always just go 12 times 1, 12 times 2, 12 times 3 in the calculator, and whatever your answer is going to be your multiples, and then you'll just list them out. So what we are going to do now is we're going to look at a word problem, and we're going to try to figure out why it's a least common multiple question. What is it looking for? And then I'm going to be trying to solve it. So the first thing we do whenever we have a question is I'm going to read the question so I can figure out what it's asking. So 2 neon signs are turned on at the same time. So both signs get turned on at the exact same time. Both signs blink as they turn on. So they both do their first initial blink at the same time. One sign blinks every 9 seconds. The other sign blinks every 15 seconds. And how many seconds will they blink together again? So a good clue for least common multiple is when I'm trying to figure out when 2 things match or meet together. So I am not splitting anything up. I'm not cutting apart the seconds. I'm not trying to divide anything. I am trying to figure out if it's happening over and over again, when will they come together? So this one is blinking faster than this one. So this one blinks every 9 seconds, and this one blinks every 15 seconds. So I need to figure out when they will eventually match. So when something is happening repeatedly, that's multiplication. And so when I'm trying to figure out when things happen all together and repeated different times, but trying to match, I'm going to be finding a least common multiple. So if I look through the question again, I'm going to try to pull out the information that I need. So it says 2 signs are turned on at the same time. They both blink at when they turn on. So they start originally. Then I know that it says 1 blinks every 9 seconds. So that's one important piece of information. And the other blinks every 15 seconds. And I'm trying to figure out when they blink together again. That's my clue word that I'm trying to figure out when they match. So I have the number 2 up here, but I know that's just giving me information about the items that I have, and it's not a number in my math problem. The same thing down here where it says 1 sign. Yes, 1 is a number, but it's not giving me any information about my problem. So I know that I need to find the least common multiple of 9 and 15. So I'm going to start down at the bottom, and I'm going to find my first multiples of 9 and 15. How many multiples do I need to find again? I need to find 5. So I'm going to start making my list of the first 5 multiples of 9. So 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 5 is 45. So now I'm going to go down to the next line and do my first 5 multiples of 15. 15 times 1 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. 15 times 3 is 45. 15 times 4 is 60. And 15 times 5 is 75. Now that I have my first 5 multiples of both numbers, I'm going to look for the smallest, the least common, so the one that they share, so the smallest number that's in both lists. So I'm going to start with the 15 because it's bigger. I know that 9's too small, so I'm going to start with 15. Is 15 up here? Nope. 30? No. 45? Yes. So my least common multiple is 45. But what does that mean? That tells me how many seconds it's going to be. So after 45 seconds or every 45 seconds, the signs will blink at the same time. So you have to know what it means in context. So it says, in how many seconds will they blink together again? So in 45 seconds. I hope this helped you figure out how to solve least common multiple. So I would like you to please try to solve some problems on your own. So you are trying to figure out when things happen together. So remember, that's our clue when I'm looking for least common multiple word problems. I'm not splitting anything up. I'm trying to figure out when they come together. Thanks, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.